What's up, everybody? Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax with Prospect Hot Sheet number 4 on this minor league season. This is a series that I conduct every 2 weeks, and it covers the past 15 days, the best players from the past 15 days. I also do Juggernaut rankings that cover the entire year, and I do those videos every 2 weeks as well. So if that's content you'd be interested in, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any videos. Now, before we get into our top 15 and several honorable mentions, I just want to go over our ranking system really quick. If you're familiar with my content, you can go ahead and probably skip over about the next minute of this video, but we have 2 rankings. First, I'm going to start with our Juggernaut ranking, which is a stats-based ranking system that I created that is solely based on stats. The only problem with this formula is it does not incorporate defensive value. Its different weights involve weighted on-base average, stolen bases per plate appearance, K percentage, swing strike percentage, WRC plus, and age level. And I have stats for all current minor league players and finalized rankings from 2023 on my Patreon page. You guys want to check that out. And the next ranking system you're going to see on this video is my Let's Talk Wax ranking system, which is my own personal opinion, very subjective, not as objective as the formula-based Juggernaut system, but it does have different tiers, and you can see the tiers here, 7 being upper level MLB minor league players, and elite being possible MLB MVP candidates. Now, these are based on ceilings, not really current skill sets, so be aware of that as well. And like I said, it's subjective, so it's just my personal opinion. It could differ very much from your own opinion. But let's jump into our top 15 to start. We're going to kick this video off with Michael Arroyo, 19.6 in the Seattle Mariners organization. You're going to see several Seattle Mariners on this list. They had a pretty good showing on this hot sheet. 19.6, playing in low A, so age appropriate there. He's a middle infielder, hit .356 with 4 homers, a double, 12 RBIs, and 9 walks. He's having a pretty solid season. When 2023 Bowman first came out, that's the release that he's in, he was playing phenomenally well, and his stuff was starting to get pretty expensive, but he kind of cooled off towards the back half of the season last year. He's starting to hit a little bit better again. Over 261 plate appearances this year so far. He's hitting .258 with a 197 ISO. He does have really good K numbers, a 21.1% K rate and a sub 2 K to walk ratio. Now, you'll see some stats in red and some stats in blue. The red does indicate good numbers and the blue does indicate bad numbers. And if they are in bold, it also indicates the best and the worst on this list. So keep that in mind. You aren't going to see any bold numbers in this group of 5, but in the next group you'll start to see it. So make sure you're aware of that as well. He does have 8 home runs on the season, and he's got 7 stolen bases. The big thing here with Arroyo, I think, is that the power numbers have gone up quite a bit in 2024 from last year. So that's something that you always want to look for in young hitters, are growing power. Sometimes it takes these kids a while to develop physically, and he perhaps could be doing that right now. Now, he did hit 4 of his 8 home runs in the last 15 days, so it could have been attributed to a hot streak, but we'll see over the course of the year. You know, like a lot of these guys get on the hot sheet based on a hot streak, and their career or their season numbers don't really match up with what they did over the last 15 days. So that's why I put the 2024 stats on there as well. He's got kind of a fringy hit tool, and the majority of his reps, it does say middle infield, but the majority of his reps are coming at second base so far in low A. At number 14, we've got Brayden Taylor. He's a guy that I really liked coming out of the 2023 draft. He was a first rounder. 22.1 high A Tampa Bay Rays system. He plays third base and shortstop. He's got a very good speed, power, hit tool, the trifecta, I guess you could say. He hit .347 with 3 home runs, a triple, 9 doubles, and 10 RBIs over the last 15 days. He over the course of the season, he's playing really, really well. He's got a .256 ISO with 13 stolen bases, that he's tied for first place in stolen bases on this list. So some pretty exceptional feats so far in the 2024 season. To have a .250 plus ISO and have 13 stolen bases, that's pretty good. His K percentage could be a little bit better. Hopefully that might go down a little bit, but that's the only worrisome factor I have here with Brayden Taylor, you know, is what the K numbers look like at the AA level, because he's 22.1 playing in high A. And he's definitely in need of a promotion at that age, you know, based on the prospecting hobby. Guys that are usually 22 and 23 in high A don't really get a lot of attention because people assume that there's a reason they're not in double A at that age. So hopefully he can push his way up to double A by the end of the season. 271 batting average. Like I said, he's got fringy K percentage, big power, big speed, sub 2 K to walk ratio, which is good. 8 home runs, 13 stolen bases on the year so far for Braden Taylor. He is number 84 in MLB.com's top 100. You can see these 3 ranking systems I have. The top 100 is based on MLB.com, you know, the kind of the go-to for top 100 rankings. The next is the Juggernaut, and then the Let's Talk Wax ranking. But he's 198 on the Juggernaut ranking system. I do want to mention I update my Juggernaut rankings 2 times a month. And my next video is going to be my Juggernaut rankings that come out over the next 2 weeks. So this group here, their Juggernaut, the 15 days have not been updated with the Juggernaut rankings. So this performance is kind of behind them. So this was from the last update of my Juggernaut rankings. So what they did in these last 15 days is not going to be applied to their Juggernaut score, but in my next video they will be applied. So it's kind of hard. I can't update the Juggernaut every day. It would just consume too much of my time. But I wish I could, if I could find maybe somebody who's really good with computers and stuff like that. Maybe they could create an algorithm where I could just give them my formula and they could make it work every day. But until then, we're going to have to go with the 2 times a month on the updates for Juggernaut. I'm getting long-winded. 2.5 on the Let's Talk Wax ranking system. He's out of 2023 Bowman draft, and his cards are pretty cheap, right around 20 bucks for a speed, power, hit guy. But like I said, he is still in high A, and I'd like to get some data from him in double A by the end of the year. Now, if you enjoy my content and you'd like to help support my channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page. I'll put a link to it in the video description. Over there, you can access tons of exclusive content, including Bowman autograph checklist breakdowns for every Bowman release since 2019 that include current and career stats, a brief write-up, and Let's Talk Wax ranks for all prospects on each checklist. I also have Bowman team break guides for all releases since 2020. You can get access to my Juggernaut rankings that rank each minor league player based on specific stats with files sorted by player and by rank, so you can easily find prospects in your collection. I also have a top 150 Bowman Chrome Autos list and a top 150 Bowman Chrome Autos under $50 list that I update 3 times per year. You can also get early access to all my video content and articles. On top of that, we have a private Let's Talk Wax Discord server with nearly 400 members to keep you up to date on all prospecting news and information. If you want to check it out, click the link in my video description. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who already supports me over there as we close in on nearly 1,000 members. At number 13, we've got one of the usual suspects on all of my content. I feel like I'm talking about Samuel Basallo quite a bit, and if you watch a lot of my content, there's not much here to talk about. Just reiterate how good his bat and how special his bat can be down the road. He's the second youngest player in AA at 19.8 behind Nelson Rada, and Rada is struggling tremendously. But I think he's also a full year under Samuel Basallo. High ceiling bat. He's got a power hit combo. The only thing going on with Basallo that's kind of out of the ordinary right now is the K to walk ratio at 3.2. He's hit 3 homers, 4 doubles, had 11 RBIs, and 6 walks over the last 15 days. He's probably gearing more towards a first base look defensively with Adley Rutschman, you know, probably one of the better catchers in the American League right now. I don't foresee Basallo overtaking that duty anytime soon. I don't really think they're going to use Basallo as trade bait. I feel like maybe him or Kobe Mayo may be 2 players that they move or don't move. Mayo's rehabbing right now, but they've got kind of a big log jam at first base with 2 very special bats between Kobe Mayo and Samuel Basallo at first base right now. So I'm interested to see, you know, what they do. Maybe one becomes a DH. It's hard to tell. It's hard to project the next few years and how these prospects pan out even at the major league level. But Samuel Basallo, not going to say a whole lot here. He's a very special bat, high ceiling, probably one of the highest ceiling bats in minor league ball right now. He's a top 100 prospect at number 13. On the Juggernaut, he's number 98, and he's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 1 for me on this list. I think that's the highest ranking prospect we have on this episode at number 1. And if he had a little bit higher of a defensive ceiling and maybe a little more speed, he could be a guy that does profile in the elite category. but for now he's just a 1, and it's mainly the defense holding him back. So 2023 Bowman Chrome, his cards are still pretty cheap, around $85. You can see, you got a guy like Xavier Isaac, 20.4. He's older than Samuel Basallo, playing in high A, doesn't have quite the numbers Basallo has, a little more thump, but his cards are at like 110 right now. We're going to talk about him in a minute, but I do feel like Basallo is a little bit cheap right now for the ceiling of his bat, so definitely a guy to keep an eye on throughout the 2024 season. Now jumping into Xavier Isaac, he's another big high ceiling bat with a hit power combo. He's a lot like Basallo. There's not a lot of defensive upside right here, but he's got a very special offensive ceiling. The thing that I want to watch with Xavier Isaac, and I know he's 20.4 playing in high A, so it is a pretty aggressive assignment. Not quite as aggressive as Basallo's at 19.8 in double A, but 20.4 in high A is still pretty tough. He's pretty much on the he started the season pretty much as a 19-year-old, so he's still pretty young for the level. With the K percentage of 27.1 is a little high for me, and that's something that could come down by the end of the year, as he gets more at bats in high A. He's got a very good hit and power tool, like I said. He makes a lot of really good contact. He's hitting 300 on the season with a 274 ISO, so I'm going to find it pretty hard for him to have a K percentage that kind of gets into the 30s. I don't foresee that. Like I said, I do foresee him possibly bringing it down over the course of the next couple of months in high A, unless he jumps into double A, and then it could kind of stay around 27 there, because like I said, that's a really aggressive assignment. He's got 4 homers and 6 doubles, 12 RBIs over the last 15. So Xavier Isaac has been on hot sheet, I think, almost every episode. He's kind of like some of the guys on here, like Lazaro Montes and Samuel Basallo. I kind of get tired of talking about them because they always seem to pop up on hot sheet, having incredible seasons. He's got 13 stolen bases for a first baseman. I think he might have some of the highest speed profile of any first baseman in the minor leagues right now. 12 home runs, 13 stolen bases. I don't know how his speed will play at the big league level, but like I said, a big hit power bat right here. Fringy K numbers right now, so that's definitely something to take a look at. He's number 45 in the MLB.com's top 100. He's 43 on the Juggernaut, and he's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 1.5 out of 2023 Bowman, which there are a lot of guys performing really well out of 2023 Bowman. I just did an update video, an updated top 15. I usually do updated top 10s for all of my releases, going back and updating the top 10 for all the releases, and I put those on the channel as well. If that's something you want to watch, you can go to the channel and find it. But I had to do 15 guys from 2023 Bowman because there's just so many guys right now from that release performing really, really well. Cards are $110. At number 11, we've got Edgar Quiero. I did a sleeper prospect video on him early in the season. He's a guy that I've watched for quite a while now. He has always had a very good hit tool. He's been challenged very aggressively age level wise throughout his career, and the contact tool has always kind of stood out and done very well. But this year he's starting to run into some power. He's got a career high ISO at 194 with 10 home runs, so he's growing into a little more pop. And like I said, the hit tool's been very consistent, and you can see based on the K numbers why that consistently occurs. 17.5 K percentage so far this season with a 177 K to walk ratio. So really good numbers coming from Quiero. I think a lot of the problem with people not really jumping on the Quiero wagon is due to the fact that he did not show off a lot of power last year or previously in his career. But like I said, 10 home runs so far this season as 21.1-year-old in Double A. He is a Los Angeles Angel on the card out of 2022 Bowman, but he was traded to the Chicago White Sox last season. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. On the Juggernaut, he's 117, and he did land on MLB.com's latest top 100 update at 94. And going into the season, he was not on that list. So definitely making some noise, and around the hobby, he hasn't really kind of taken off. You can see his cards are still right around $15. So super cheap buy-in for a guy with a pretty good bat. Now at number 10, we've got Jordan Vyers, all the way back from 2021 Bowman draft. He's only 20.9 years old. He was one of the youngest players in that 2021 draft, and he has not played very well throughout his career. You're going to see two guys on this hot sheet list that have Let's Talk Wax ranks of 7. So 7 is pretty much either chopping block. I think these two guys were on my chopping block on my autograph checklist breakdowns just because they performed so poorly. You'll see another guy in the top 5 on this episode that has a Let's Talk Wax rank of 7. And this is what's kind of fun about the hot sheet is you get these guys that haven't performed very well. And a lot of prospecting, I talk about this with like Bobby over on the Discord and a lot of the guys in the Discord. Long-term holds are very risky in this game, in the prospecting game. You know, if you're collecting to flip and try to make a couple extra bucks, you know, moving prospects, or you just like to collect, it doesn't really matter if you're just a collector and you know, kind of collect certain players or certain teams and things like that. You really don't have to worry about these things that I call very small sell windows. So like Jordan Virus, it's his 4th year in the minor leagues and he's still in low A, and that pretty much tells you, you know, how little success he's had in minor league baseball. But over the last 15 days, he's kind of heated up, and sometimes people notice these things and, you know, they'll start throwing cards on Facebook, and, you know, you'll see these people selling Jordan Virus, and you're like, well, why are these people selling this random guy? Well, it's because he's performing very well, and it could be a good chance to sell right now, you know, during this small performance window. And like I said, it's something we talk about a lot in the Discord, that like long-term holds do end up being pretty risky, but if you can find these small performance windows, they are sometimes very good times to try to sell. You know, Jordan Virus was a pretty big chase, not a huge chase. He was kind of like a mid-tier chase when 21 draft released. And if you're trying to recoup some funds from his poor performance, now may be a good time, because the track record shows he's not going to do a ton of damage throughout the 2024 season. But he did hit 4 home runs, 11 RBIs over the last 15 days. He's in low A with the Philadelphia Phillies as an outfielder. His season average is 263, a 233 ISO, 30.7 K percentage, which is a little high for me. It's the highest on this list, but it's his best season to date. And you know, maybe he's starting to figure something out. We really don't know what goes on. We can't really take too deep a dives, and you know, if he's made a swing adjustment, you know, or an approach adjustment, we just really don't know. Or he could just be going through a little hot streak here in the front half, and he could turn ice cold in the back half. But that's the fun part about prospecting. We can't predict the future, so that's what makes it a lot of fun. He's not a top 100 prospect by any means. Based on MLB.com's rankings, he's number 467 on the Juggernaut. Like I said, he was a Let's Talk Wax rank of 7. I think I had him on the chopping block on this release. And I'm not going to put him back on until he can show me that he's going to stroke for an entire season. 2021 Bowman draft, and his cards are right around $10. At number 9, we've got a New York Yankee out of the fresh 2024 Bowman release, Jared Cerna, 22.1, playing in high A, a little bit old for the level. He's a second base / shortstop, but he gets the majority of his reps at shortstop for now. Hit 345 with 4 jacks, 7 doubles, and 16 RBIs over the last 15 days. Now, Cerna has some juice. He's got a 228 ISO, 11 home runs on the season so far. He's got the lowest K percentage on this list at 17.6, and a sub 2 K to walk ratio, 1.35. So really good K numbers for a guy with some serious thump. He does have some fringy speed. He's got 8 stolen bases, but he's also been caught stealing 6 times. So I'm not really sure if that's kind of deceiving, the 8 bases, but he was caught 6 times. So hopefully maybe he needs to learn to do some better base running. Maybe he doesn't get very good jumps or reads, or doesn't time out pitchers, you know, doesn't do enough homework. But like I said, he's got 8 stolen bases, 6 of them he was caught stealing though. So he's a very low percentage base stealer, even though he has 8 stolen bases. I think the big thing here is the power bat at shortstop. And that's something that plays very well in the hobby. He's not a top 100 prospect right now. On the Juggernaut, he's 163. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 3, and his cards are right around $15 right now. At number 8, we've got Ryan Ritter, who did make a few hot sheet appearances last year. He's got some serious power numbers from 2023, but they've dipped since entering Double A. I think he hit 20 plus home runs in high A last year. He got called up to double A last year, I think in the middle or the last third of the season. And since entering high A, his power numbers have definitely taken a pretty big dip. He's one of the older guys on this list, 23.6. Colorado Rockies, he's a shortstop, a very good defensive shortstop, especially coming out of college. 345 batting average, 4 home runs, a double, 4 walks, and 3 stolen bases over the last 15. He's hitting for average, 298 batting average. Now, the K numbers are a little fringy for me, 25.3. I really like sub 20K percentages. The 25s to 30s, they kind of get in the fringe category for me. Anything over 30 is a little too high for me. He's got 5 home runs, 12 stolen bases, and he's just kind of Ezekiel Tovar has been playing pretty well this year, so I'm not really sure what the Colorado Rockies are going to do with Ritter. But he has been a pretty consistent contact bat, and like I said, since entering Double A, the power numbers have gone down a little bit. I do notice a lot of Colorado Rockies prospects seem to struggle sometimes at the Double A level, at that level. So I'm not sure if that's a trend or it's the park factor or what's going on there, but I did notice that with several prospects. He has an auto out of 2022 Bowman draft. His cards are super cheap at $5 right now. At number 7, we've got Curtis Mead, who did make his major league debut last year. He hit .218 with 23 strikeouts and 4 walks. So he really struggled in his professional debut. He's in AAA right now, and he does still qualify for hot sheet because he's within rookie limits as of right now. Had 4 home runs, a triple, 3 doubles, and 13 RBIs over the last 15 days. He has been one of the most consistent bats at the minor league level since being drafted. I think he was drafted by the Phillies way back when. He didn't have a Bowman auto till 2022 Bowman. He was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays, but he's been hitting for years now. He's got a high average, high power bat, excellent K percentages, and he's just kind of one of those guys that hasn't yet figured it out at the major league level, maybe hasn't had enough of a chance to kind of get his groove on. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays system is so loaded, they don't have a lot of time to mess around with guys who aren't performing really well, kind of like the Jackson Holiday situation when the Orioles have so many just special players in their minor league system and guys at the big league level playing really well. It's hard to let these kids kind of struggle for a while, and without getting optioned back to AAA. But he was optioned back to AAA. He's still under the age of 24. His cards are at a career low of $15. I've never seen Curtis Mead cards this low. He's a graduate from the top 100 rankings on MLB.com. And on the Juggernaut, he's 385, and he's also graduated from the Let's Talk Wax ranking system, but I do still keep track of his stats over on the autograph checklist breakdown. So I track all players that are in the major league still. Once they graduate from my ranking system, I just kind of track their big league stats. So he's in AAA right now. Hopefully he can get a chance to get back up there and maybe get in the swing of things and put up some better numbers in his next showing at the major league level. At number 6, we've got Adrian Placencia, 21.8 playing in low A, so he should be doing a ton of damage, and that he did over the last 15 days, hit 5 home runs with 12 RBIs and 14 walks. Now, obviously, he is too old for low A. He's playing in a pretty hitter-friendly park at Inland Empire. I think Jeremiah Jackson hit like almost 30 jacks in low A there one year, and I bought a bunch of his stuff, and now you can kind of go look where Jeremiah Jackson is at after his Inland Empire performance, which was immaculate. But he was in high A and in the Arizona Fall League in 2023, and he did not do well at all. So he's back in low A. I'm not sure if they're sending him back to low A to kind of get his confidence back up, but he was in high A last year, did play in the Arizona Fall League, and the numbers were pretty bad, so perhaps they're just trying to build him back up. Now, he does have 10 home runs, but he's also got a 29.3% K rate as a 21.8-year-old in low A, so a very high-risk guy right here. But his cards are only $5. He's only got refractor cards and up. He does not have any base autos. He's not a top 100 prospect, clearly. He's not He's 21.8 in low A, so he's not going to be on MLB.com's top 100. He's at 378 on the Juggernaut ranking system, at 4.5 Let's Talk Wax rank. And like I said, his cards are refractor and up only, and they're $5 out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. Now, before we get into our top 5, I'm going to go through all of our honorable mentions. I do highlight the guys with the top OPSs in their specific league. I'm not going to go through every player, so I do highly advise y'all to take some screenshots if you want to do that, to kind of, you can go back, and look at each of these guys. I do try to put a lot of information, and it does take me a long time, so hopefully you guys appreciate all the honorable mentions that I do. On this list, out of AAA, Jhonkensy Noel, Nick York, and Jackson Holliday had some big time showings. They each had a pair of home runs, lots of RBIs, lots of walks, and 3 pretty high-profile prospects. Noel, probably the least high-profile, but he is a very big power bat. Nick York has been I think he's going to be kind of more of a high-floor player. He had that special year in, I think it was 2021 or 2022, and he's never kind of gone back to that playing ability. Jackson Holliday is going to be a really special player. I really don't think anybody needs to give up on him after his poor showing at the Major League level. Oswald Peraza is back in AAA and struggling big time. He's hitting .095 over the last 15 with 19 strikeouts. Out of the AA Eastern League, Roman Anthony hit 2 homers, 4 doubles, and 4 RBIs, bringing his OPS to 1.447 over the last 15 days out of 2023 Bowman. Pretty special player there, 20.1, playing in AA, another one of the youngest players in AA. Ryan Clifford trying to make a comeback. He's done a lot of whiffing since being traded to the New York Mets. His career has kind of slowed down a little bit, but he does have a ton of power. This guy, like I said, just a very high power ceiling bat, 4 homers over the last 15 days, a first base / outfielder. Another youngster, 20.9, playing in AA. Both of these guys in 2023 Bowman Chrome, as I mentioned before, pretty hot release right now. And Marcus Lee Sang, 23.4, Philadelphia Phillies center fielder, had a pretty good day with some base hits, 410 batting average, no homers, but a triple, 3 doubles, and 5 RBIs. A guy to check out there. He's a little old for the hobby, but I'm sure his cards are pretty cheap. I'm sure they're probably sitting right around the $5 to $10 mark based off his age. Sterling Thompson was a big bat last year that was kind of slept on when 2022 draft was released. He had a big year last year, but he's struggling right now, 22.9, playing in AA. A 314 OPS and a 116 batting average with 18 punch-outs over the last 15 days. Coming out of the AA Southern League, Dominic Keegan has been slept on in the hobby for as long as he's been in the hobby. Since 2022 draft was released, I don't think his cards have gone above like $5 to $15, and all the dude's really done is hit. He's got a very high floor bat, and he's pretty solid behind the plate. I'd really like to see Dominic Keegan get a little more love in the hobby, but it's difficult because he's probably going to age out of my content at 23.9. He was an older draftee coming out of that 2022 draft class out of Vanderbilt, but like I said, he's done a very good job throughout his career since being drafted offensively. We mentioned Nelson Rada, the youngest player in AA right now, but it is showing because he's got a sub 100 batting average over the last 15 days with 20 strikeouts. He does have elite speed, but I don't think he's quite ready. He does look like he's a little overmatched right now versus AA arms. So 18.8 years old, that would be an exceptional age level for high A. He skipped high A, which I'm not really sure why. Maybe he needs to go to high A to kind of get his confidence back and get back on track with the offense. But the speed is definitely there. He's one of the fastest guys in minor league baseball. In the Texas League, we've got Cole Young. The Seattle farm system is absolutely loaded. It's another system that's kind of like the Baltimore Orioles, just loaded with talent. There's so many guys, like I said, from the Seattle system on this hot sheet this year. He hit 390 over the last 15 with 2 home runs. And Dalton Rushing, who kind of struggled last year, wasn't really sure what he was going to do in 2024. And coming out of the draft, out of 2022 draft, he's one of the higher sought after players coming out of that release. So 23.2, he's back on track right now, hitting 341 with 2 homers, 4 doubles, and 15 RBIs over the last 15. Harry Ford struggling a little bit. And you know, there's a lot of guys who have a lot worse numbers than Harry Ford, but when I get to this ice cold section, I do try to find guys that are kind of prevalent in the hobby. He's struggling a little bit. I'm not very worried about Harry Ford because he's been another very high floor bat, very good athlete behind the plate. Just a lot of very good qualities about this kid, and I really do think he'll rebound, but right now he's struggling a little bit. 9 strikeouts and a 205 batting average over the last 15 days. In high A from the South Atlantic League, we've got Colton Ledbetter, hit 4 home runs out of 2023 Bowman draft. He was another SEC bat that I liked on release. Didn't really get too crazy last year, but he's playing pretty well so far this year in 2024. Anthony Gutierrez out of 2022 Bowman Chrome had 2 triples, 3 doubles, 9 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. He's 19.5 playing in high A, so another youngster for the level there. Ice cold, I couldn't really find any prevalent names that were ice cold in the South Atlantic League, so we went with one of the worst players right now, William Lugo, 22.4. Definitely a guy that should not be struggling at the high A level. Was batting 150 with 19 strikeouts over the last 15. Lots of big performances out of high A in the Midwest League. We got Leonardo Bernal, 20.2, St. Louis Cardinals catcher, hit 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 6 walks out of 2023 Bowman Chrome. Another 2023 Chromer and Chris Newell. He was on the hot sheet last week. Very close to getting on it this week with 4 home runs, but he only hit 275. And you know, I shouldn't say he only hit 275, but to make the top 15, there are some pretty special numbers that go into those top 15 guys, and 275 batting average, along with the 4 homers, just wasn't enough to make the top 15, but definitely a guy that deserved a shout out. Henry Bolte, 20.9. This kid, I can't really figure out if I like this guy or not. It's a huge power, speed ceiling. The K numbers are pretty rough. He does swing and miss quite a bit. He had 5 doubles and a home run over the last 15 days, 5 stolen bases. His cards are redemptions, and I do think they are SP'd, so that does inflate the price a little bit, but he's definitely an interesting prospect. He's like 6'5". He's a really big physical kid with speed and power, something that the hobby really likes. So he's definitely a guy to watch, and hopefully he can kind of get his K numbers under control. But we'll see what happens at the AA level with Bolte. He does play in the Oakland A's organization as well, which is not a very good developmental organization based on some of the guys that I've prospected over the years. Tyler Soderstrom was a guy that I did buy heavily into years ago. I liked the bat, and I wasn't really as knowledgeable in the hobby when I invested in. I guess I collected Tyler Soderstrom. Was like, hey, you know, there's a reason that all Oakland A's prospects are exceptionally cheap, and it's because they have a very small market, and the development there is just not top tier. It's not like Dodgers, you know, Orioles or Seattle Mariners development. It's definitely Oakland development. So we'll see what happens with Bolte. We got Roberto Campos, another guy. I've got a purple refractor PSA 10 auto of Campos in my collection. Like I said, I did do a lot of buying and selling before I started the channel, and once I started the channel, I kind of used the channel to fulfill my need for prospecting. I don't do pretty much any buying anymore. I do have some cards on eBay that I'm just trying to get rid of, and I give away most of the stuff I have in my collection to people on the Patreon page, public and subscribers. So if you guys want to check that out, I do some giveaways over there. And just 4 guys out of the Midwest League. Juan Bin Cho, struggling right now. He was one of the more, I guess, kind of not high profile, but maybe mid-tier out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. I remember doing a break, and I did pull an orange, true orange Juan Bin Cho for one of my guys in a break years ago, and that was a pretty exciting moment. Not too often you get to, for a guy that does as little breaks as I do. I don't think I've done a break in over a year, but I would like to maybe do one giant break this summer once our high school season ends and my daughter's season ends and everything kind of slows down. I'm getting the itch to do one really big break because they're a lot of fun, and I enjoy interacting with you guys during the breaks. So Don't know why I went on that rant, but definitely want to try to do that maybe by the end of this summer. In the Northwest League, we've got Cole Carrig, 2023 Bowman draft, had a homer, 3 triples, 2 doubles, and 7 RBIs, 22.1 Colorado Rockies. Kind of a speed power guy there. He could be kind of a sneaky bat. He could be kind of a sleeper bat right now. He's one of the guys out of 2023 draft that I did think could possibly be a sleeper. Jamari Baylor out of 19 drafts. So a blast from the past, still qualifies at 23.8, had 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. He, I believe he was drafted by the Phillies and traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. So I do think that he is a Philadelphia Philly on his 19 draft card. Let me know in the comments. You guys always seem to find my mistakes, which is very helpful. So continue to do that so I'm not getting out false knowledge or false data on the channel. I do try to go flawless on most of my videos, but it's so much data, and I do make some mistakes on here, and you guys always seem to find them in the comments, so I do appreciate that. Chase Barfin, 22.6 Toronto Blue Jays, another guy out of 2023 Bowman draft. He's struggling right now, 15 Ks over the last 15 days. In the low A Carolina League, we got Wilfredo Antunez, 22.1, has no business in low A, but he is stroking the ball, so he did make the honorable mentions list out of 2023 Bowman Chrome. Anderson De Los Santos had a home run, a triple, 3 doubles, and 5 stolen bases. And Christian Hernandez with the Chicago Cubs, shortstop, 20.5. He was the big chase out of 2021 Bowman Chrome, and he's been on the hot sheet a few times last year, but hasn't quite lived up to, I think, the tier of prospect people thought he would, when that release came out. And that was kind of post-COVID, and his card prices were pretty insane on that release. But he did have a good last 15 days. Christian Vaquero struggling mightily in low A, 19.7. He was one of the big chases out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. And these Chrome releases are very, very risky. A lot of people just pretty much base their purchases off of top international signees. And when I say that the possibility of a top international signee panning out is very small, it's if you go back through the history of all the Bowman Chrome releases and you look at the guys that headlined those releases and you see where they're at now, you'll start to understand why that release is so risky. It's pretty much a rip and sell immediately release for me. I don't rip, but if I was ripping a lot of Chrome releases, it would definitely be hype sales, as soon as the release comes out, because a lot of these guys really do struggle to find themselves in minor league baseball. And Vaquero, like I said, was one of the top chases out of the 2022 Chrome release, and he's struggling pretty bad right now, 132 with 15 Ks, like Bufferin over the last 15 days. In the Florida State League, we got Carlos Aguiar, 2 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles, 22.8, playing in low A, so probably not a very high ceiling for that guy, maybe just a hot streak. He's probably a $5 auto. Esmeralyn Valdez, 20.3 with the Pirates, first base / outfield, 2 homers, a triple, 2 doubles, and 5 RBIs out of 2024 Bowman. And Brandon Winokur out of 2024 Bowman. This guy is someone I'm definitely going to keep a very close eye on. He's a very big kid. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", has a pretty high defensive ceiling. You see he plays shortstop and center field. He's got a little bit of thump, a lot of tools right here. A young kid, 19.4. So Brandon Winokur is definitely a guy to keep your eye on as the season develops. Nico Paco Grego was a guy who I thought would be a sleeper. He missed the entire season last year. He had a pretty good hit tool, but he's struggling a little bit right now to get going in the front half. He was 160 batting average over the last 15 days. In the California League, we got Milkar Perez out of 2021 Bowman Chrome, and that release was an absolute bloodbath, 22.6. Playing in low A, not a good sign, but he did hit .429 with a home run, 2 doubles, and 6 RBIs. So if you purchased a whole bunch of Milkar Perez, now may be a good window for you to dump as much as you can out. I don't foresee him doing much damage in a loaded system, and especially playing in low A, sorry, not paying 22.6 is not a good situation. Josue DePaula, 19.1 high-profile prospect with the Dodgers. A lot of eyes on this guy. He's a top 100 prospect with a lot of thump and a very high ceiling. Has been on the hot sheet quite a few times. I think we've had 4 hot sheets, and I want to say he's been on maybe 3 of them so far. So a big season happening right now for Josue DePaula with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Rossman Verdugo out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. He had the most doubles in low A last year, I want to say, at 18 years old, and he's struggling quite a bit repeating the level. He was a $5 auto that I thought could get some traction based on his performance, but he's repeating the level and he's not doing a very good job hitting 182 with 13 Ks over the last 15 days. I did combine the Complex League, both Complex Leagues, Florida and Arizona, and the DSL into one group. There are so many players in these 3 groups, and there's so many names. So if I did miss anybody in the Complex League or DSL, be sure to put it in the comments. Like I said, there's so many guys hitting above 300 in this group. It's early. The DSL really just started. The Complex League is pretty fresh as well. So there's so many performances. This list could be very big, but I'm trying to keep the episodes down to like half an hour. Joendry Vargas, I think, is a guy, another high-profile prospect out of a Chrome release that's going to have a pretty successful career. He's doing pretty well so far. Angel Cepeda, 18.6, had 2 homers playing in the Complex League. Kevin Hidalgo, out of 2024 Bowman, had 4 doubles and 9 RBIs, 19.2 years old, may be ready for a promotion to low A. Abdias de la Cruz, out of Arizona Diamondbacks organization, 19.6, had a triple and 5 doubles. A.J. Ewing, New York Mets second base / outfielder, out of 2023 draft, had 2 home runs. Yolan Cespedes, out of 2024 Bowman. He's one of the guys that I kind of liked out of this release. He's a pretty big bat, 2 home runs, a triple and 2 doubles over the last 18.9 years old, a very young guy. And Arnold Lentigia, 18.4, Los Angeles Dodgers, had 3 homers in the DSL out of 2023 Bowman. Brando, you will find Brandon on his card. That is a typo. He is Brando, not Brandon. Brando Maea, 18.8, struggling right now in the Complex League, 11 Ks over the last 15 days with a 184 batting average. Kicking off our top 5 is Lazaro Montes. This guy is absolutely blowing up in the hobby right now. His numbers are off the charts. He is in desperate need of a promotion to high A. His cards have gone from like $80 to about $130. His stuff is on fire on eBay right now. I'm not going to say sell because I do think that this is a pretty special kid, but if you've got weaker hands and you kind of want to cash in, if you bought into Lazaro Montes, on release, his stuff is definitely skyrocketing right now, but this kid has a pretty special bat from what we've seen in the minor leagues so far. I talked about him in the last 2 hot sheets. He headlined hot sheet number 2. He hit 5 more home runs over the last 15 days. Just a really special bat. He's got the hit tool, the power tool, and he's got the best K percentage and K to walk ratio on this list. And he's got the most jacks on this list as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with this guy. He's a stud right now. His stuff's on fire. And he's going to be a fun guy to see, how he finishes up the 2024 season, where he finishes up, hopefully at least in high A. I'd like to see a promotion here shortly. So Lazaro Montes, big bat, on fire right now. At number 4, we've got Hao Yu Lee, who is running into a little bit of power in 2024. He's got 10 home runs. He's been a pretty solid bat. He's in Double-A at 21.3. He was drafted by the Phillies or signed by the Phillies, and he was traded to the Detroit Tigers. So I'm pretty sure he is a Philadelphia Philly on his first Chrome auto, which are selling for around $45 right now. 5 homers, like I said, over the last 15 days. 285 average with a 217 ISO. He's in all red between average and K numbers, so those are all very good things. He's not a top 100 prospect yet, And if he continues to perform like this, I think maybe in the next one or two updates, he could jump onto that list. So that would be huge for his value. He is number 87 on the Juggernaut. And like I said, the Juggernaut hasn't been updated in 2 weeks. I'm going to update that next week. And with these numbers, he probably is going to slide quite a bit higher than 87. He's a 2.5 on the Let's Talk Wax rank, which could increase as well out of 2023 Bowman. Lazaro Bontes, Hal Yuli, Roman Anthony, Xavier Isaac, Michael Arroyo, all these names out of this 2023 Bowman release, as I mentioned before. If you've got the itch to rip, and it's something you feel like you must do, 2023 Bowman would be a very good place to start right now. As far as just top 100 prospects and players performing really well in a specific release. So that would be one to definitely dive into if you got to feed the urge. At number 3, we have our other chopping block guy, Joe Mack. You've probably seen him on the Whatnot commercials on social media. That's about as much notoriety as he's gotten up until this moment. He's really struggled throughout his career. He only had 6 home runs and 500 plus plate appearances last year, and he's got 11 right now between high A and double A. So I'm not sure what happened with Joe Mack. He's been a very mediocre player throughout his career. This is the best season of his career so far. The only thing that's changed are his Ks are up a little bit in double A, but he's still swinging a pretty hot bat, 272 batting average and a 240 ISO so far in 2024, and 6 home runs over the last 15 days. So big up yourself, Joe Mack. That's huge. And sometimes when these guys, like I said, if they perform over the course of an entire year very well, I will take them off the chopping block. I had to do it with Nate Furman. He was a guy that was on the chopping block, and he was the number 1 player on the hot sheet last week. So sometimes I do write these guys off a little too early. But with Joe Mack and Jordan Byers, their careers have not been very noteworthy. So definitely something to consider. They're both $5 autos. But like I said, if you're holding on to a stash of Joe Mack, you might have a little sell window. Or if you think he's going to continue to perform, it could be a cheap buy-in at $5. And that's your decision to make. Definitely not mine. Now, no surprise here, Jason Dominguez is doing his rehab stint. He had UCL surgery last year. He was in, I want to say, 5 major league games last year, hit 4 home runs. He had an incredible start, and his stuff was going crazy until the elbow injury, and he had to have surgery, and it shut everything down. So Dominguez is 21.3. He's in AAA right now. He's been mashing all the way up to AAA during his rehab stint, 440 over the last 15 with 5 homers and 7 RBIs. This kid really, I do think, is special. He was probably, it was crazy how it worked out with Dominguez right at peak COVID, and he was nuts on social media. His cards were astronomical on release. And it was like the perfect storm for Jason Dominguez, and he didn't perform as well as people thought he was going to. He didn't perform poorly, but in the lower minors, he was putting up decent numbers. He got to double A and started to really turn it on at the double A level and kind of hasn't looked back. So I do think we do have a special kid here in the making if he can stay healthy. 368 batting average with a 290 ISO, the highest on this list in the 2024 season so far. I don't think it's going to be long before he's back up in the major leagues, and he's going to exceed rookie status. So he probably won't be talked about much in my content because, like I said, I do think he's going to exceed his rookie limits in 2024. But since he hasn't, he still qualifies for the hot sheet, even though he's been a solid. He's probably going to be a really good big leaguer in about 2 or 3 weeks. So number 30 in the top 100, he's graduated from my Juggernaut and Let's Talk Wax rankings. He would probably be elite if I did have to grade him right now, just based on his tools. He does everything very well. Out of 2020 Bowman, his cards are right around $400. And I love to have guys like Bryce Matthews pop up on the hot sheet. He was a first rounder in 2023 out of the University of Nebraska. He did not really perform very well post-draft last year. He didn't put up any really crazy numbers, but I do think there's a lot of talent here with this kid. There's a very high speed, power ceiling. He had 6 home runs over the last 15 days. He's hitting .370, the highest batting average on this list over the last 15 days. He's got 284 ISO. Just really wild numbers for Bryce Matthews this season and over the last 15 days. 22.1 playing in high A. Hopefully a call-up, or not a call-up, but sorry, a promotion to Double A is imminent, so we can kind of see how that bat holds up at one of the highest levels in minor league baseball. I still think Double A is kind of like the level that tests prospects the most. I want to say if they perform really well in Double A, you can pretty much bank on them being really solid in Triple A as well. So I'd like to see what Bryce Matthews has at the Double A level. An athlete has got 13 stolen bases, tied for the most on this list, 6 home runs on the season, and they all came in the last 15 days. He's not a top 100 prospect on the Juggernaut ranking system. He's 435, but like I said, his performance over the last 15 days hasn't been input into the Juggernaut rankings. I haven't updated them in 2 weeks, so I expect a big jump on the Juggernaut ranking system for Bryce Matthews next week when I do update that. He's a 2.5 on Let's Talk Wax ranking, just because I'm kind of taking into consideration the struggles he had last year. But if he continues to perform at this level with these numbers, and he does some damage in Double A, I do expect that Let's Talk Wax rank to jump quite a bit. He is out of 2024 Bowman. His cards are pretty cheap, right around $25 right now. That's going to wrap up this video. I appreciate all my level 3 supporters over on Patreon. You guys rock. If you enjoy this content, I do the prospect hot sheet every 2 weeks on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again. See y'all later.